People, this is a classic. We've just gone live. You've missed all the intro. We've done all that. We haven't gone live. That's the first time I've done that, or second time. I remember doing it years back. It's all confused, people. We're not going to do the intro again because that'll be silly. We've started. We've been talking about Spurs for the last maybe 5 to 10 minutes, and we've only just gone live. I should have looked in the corner and saw the red thing wasn't on, but I went and changed, didn't I? That's what it was. I didn't even. Anyway, rewind.
I'm loving
Lucas
it.
Moura, he's left the club. I'm glad he's gone now. We were talking about him. Sean was just saying how glad he was to see Lucas Moura score that goal. He's his best player. Continue, Sean, now that we're live.
I thought I was quite elegant as well. I thought I was quite nice. I was quite conciliatory to Lucas Moura. But yeah, I mean, as I said, Lucas scoring and doing it in a prime Messi style was really indicative of how poor Leeds United are. And they've just been robbed of £2 million by Sam Allardyce as well. I mean, that is a club that are in doggy-do. I mean, you know, obviously they'll get some parachute payments when they go down to the Championship, but they better come back soon if they want to get back in the Premier League, but there's a lot of their best players will want to leave. Some were only on loan, so it'll be interesting.
Go on, Sid.
I was going to say, it's how apparent now is our Tottenham Hotspur Football Club. We can't lift trophies. We had to lift Lucas Moura when he scored that goal to celebrate. We're lifting players instead of trophies now. That's how bad it is at Tottenham Hotspur Football Club.
The trophy probably plays better than him anyway. That's what I'm saying. So they may as well lift him, because I know the trophy can kick a ball better than that geezer. Let's not go too far. Obviously, thank you for the memories, Lucas. You got the hat-trick. They did you dirty, by the way, in the final. We all know that. Yeah, did you dirty. But since that point, 2019, he gave us vibes. I don't know what else he gave us. Do you know what I mean? He gave us vibes. Gave certain people, the opportunity for Brazilians to come in and, you know what I mean? He's there. You know what he reminds me of? He's like when you go, it's like Airbnb, when the host comes and the host greets you and it's, oh, well, that's like what he is. Everybody that comes there from Brazil, he's there and he just takes care of them. Lucas Moura, thank you. Then we've got other players. Seville the other day, 2 of our players bloody picking up a winner's trophy. It's ridiculous. It's ridiculous what happens at Spurs. All
hail Eric Lamela, late of this Paris.
I love that.
I loved him. I loved his shithousery. I loved everything about him. And he's got his first senior trophy. And he beat my team, Roma, and deservedly so, because Roma stank the place out. And where did that emanate from? Oh, who's their coach again? So look, his face is familiar.
He's been charged as well now, hasn't he? So good.
Good.
Did you see the video about what happened with what's his name? That was a bit much, though. Anthony Taylor.
Well.
Was that all connected with that? Because
yes,
sometimes you get because sometimes these videos come out and it's not connected and people say it is, but
no, because of what he done after the game where he waited in the car park, what he done a couple of years ago. Yeah, the fans have reacted at the airport.
But this is the thing with me. Jose Mourinho knows exactly what he's doing. He knows exactly what he's doing in the media. He knows exactly what he does with the fans, with the players. Remember, he's got a degree. I think he's got a degree in psychology. This guy, I think that was terrible what he did at the end in the car. Was it in the car park?
In the car park.
Absolutely terrible. When I saw him doing that, you knew that the fans were going to kick off. These Roma fans, as you probably know, Sean, they're not to be messed with. Do you know what I mean? They're
Absolutely
not to be messed with. So when he does that, stoking up fires, because he lost. Basically, he lost. Do you know what I mean? First final out of 5, he's lost it. So Jose goes and does a Jose thing, blames everything else but himself. His football wasn't good. Seville were much the better team, but yet they had a chance to win it. And obviously, Jose does what Jose does. People, I've got to remind you what we're actually talking about today, because it wasn't about Jose Mourinho. It really wasn't. The ongoing saga. I try, like I said, with my creativity. Looks like it's another good day, mate. If you understand what that means, you understand what that means. But we'll try and go into it. Right, you're going to have to help me out here, because I can't even pronounce the guy's name at Celtic, who we're now linked to. The guy who's 57, been in management, I don't know how long, been at Celtic 2 years, where he was before that, he was in J League in Australia. And now he's being talked about as being our next manager. Now, I've got no problems in appointing people. People want to take themselves and get further along the line and do this and do that and progress. This is not a problem to me. But Tottenham Hotspur don't do that. Tottenham Hotspur have got world-class managers in that I think they're probably too big for the club, but yet they couldn't get a tune out of some of these players. We've had Poch, who run out of steam, got the best out of the players at the time, but then some deadwood here that should have been gone, couldn't get rid of, brought him down. And since that point, they're bringing every other manager down. This guy's he's very abrasive. He's very articulate, but I can see there being problems if he gets appointed. Sean, do you think it would be a good appointment if he was made manager? And what's his name?
Ange Postecoglou. A Greek-born Australian who was the Australian national manager for a number of years. Won the A-League with Brisbane Roar. Won the Japanese League with Yokohama. Plays a very, very progressive form of football, a front foot kind of football, and has done that throughout his career. In fact, so much so that I saw an interview where he says he's looked at the manuals and he doesn't even look at the defensive manuals. He just looks at the attacking manuals, which obviously could come back to bite him in the Premier League. But do you know what? This is where Tottenham have got to now. This is the reality check. For Daniel Levy, it's still 2019 and Spurs are fresh from getting to the Champions League. Unfortunately, there's been nearly 5 years of shite since then, and he has been responsible for much of it with his appointments of managers in particular. And we are now where we are. We are a top-ish Premier League team, but we're not in Europe. So all those fans bleating for Nagelsmann and Enrique, they're not coming to a club that are not even in Europe, let alone the Champions League or the Europa League or the Conference. They're not coming. So you have to go for what you think is best. I think we need a reset. And I do think he could be. It's a risk. Every manager is a risk. Look at Mourinho, look at Conte, look at Nuno. They're all risks. But we need a reset, and I think a new voice, someone who seems to play the football that we grew up loving Tottenham about. Why not? Why not? I'm just sick of, I just want the appointment to be made.
Sid, what's your thoughts on this whole matter? Because as I said, I'll chat afterwards. But yeah, go on.
Listen, you've got Piccadilly Circus, you've got Oxford Circus, and now you've got the Tottenham Circus, haven't you? It's ridiculous, man. How many days has it been? That's about 70 odd days since we got rid of Conte, and it's this manager link, that manager. We don't know. We've just fallen off the media, and the media don't like Spurs. We all know. So they're throwing in everything and anything possible to write a story, make headlines. We don't know who's had interviews, who's been tapped up, who's been spoken to, who has not been spoken to, what the list is. We're just going off hearsay and all the repeats and retweets and all that from certain Tottenham podcast people on Twitter and whatever, and everyone's just repeat, rinse. We don't know. Even with this Postecoglou, we don't know. He's got his Scottish Cup final to come up, so he's not even contemplating anything until that cup final's done. So, he might not even be the one. Again, it's just press putting out names. Nothing comes from Spurs as who we're going with. Nagelman's still available. Enrique's still available. Apparently now Napoli are looking for Enrique. Now they don't want him. Now they're looking at Nagelsmann. So it's a merry-go-round, and media just pulling up names. We don't know what's going to happen. And I agree with what Sean's saying. This club needs a reset now, because the most important thing for me at this precise moment is, yes, we haven't got manager, we haven't got director of football, Harry Kane situation is going to arise now as well. And we don't know what's going to happen. I'm hearing things about Kane, and it's from good sources. So we don't know. And this manager thing is just absolutely ridiculous because pre-season is going to start soon. And we're still nowhere near because now they're looking at a manager. Then they want a director of football. So I'm sorry, what comes first, the chicken or the egg? Because you've got to get a director of football first. Who appoints the manager? Who then appoints players? If you're going to appoint a manager first, how are you going to appoint a director of football? Because that director of football might have his own agenda and he might have his own list. I don't know. But all I know now is this man is enjoying his VIP box seats, watching Beyonce at the moment. So he don't give a shit. He's just looking at the pennies coming in.
Yeah, so this whole manager saga that's continuing at the moment is because they hadn't got a plan as to who they were going to get. They knew Conte after that outburst. We all knew. Remember, it was still, he went away. Was it the international break, around the international break time? Was it? Went away, come back. Not really much. Oh, Stellini's going to take charge. So they had no clue what they were going to do then. So Stellini's gone in charge. Carries on. Stellini bombed, absolutely bombed. The players just, how can you put him in number 2 in place of the number 1, his mate, who he's going to do exactly the same thing as his mate and not go against that? That was a ridiculous thing. Mason goes in, fair play to Mason, gets people on side, has some decent performances, got the players at least looking like they wanted to play football. But again, ultimately, we didn't get the results. The club haven't got a clue what they're doing at the moment. If you've got no director of football, how can you even be looking at a manager? How can you even be looking? We've been through this situation before with Paratici, the jailed one, who's he's going to probably be in the future. Do you know? So what is the club expecting fans to do? But yet they still want us to renew our season tickets by the 1st of June, which we've probably all done. I know I've done it because I thought, you know what? The amount of time I had to wait to get on the bloody list, if I get off it and we do get good, I'm going to say that. If we do get good, then I'm going to probably have to go back and, I'm just going to take ages and I'm going to have to go back membership. So I thought it's an investment in Spurs, but they're not investing in the club in the right way. We're getting the same 2019, we'll test the waters. It's all a game. It's all a media game. I'm telling you, Daniel Levy he needs to step down. But it's not going to happen. What if Pastor, I'm going to put it up so I can even see it pronounced, Pastor Igloo. What hope has he got if he's...
Pastor Igloo.
Huh? What's it called? Pastor Ogloo. What's it called? What is it then? I don't know. The Aussie one. You're on mute, Sean.
There's a K sound in the middle, not an igloo. He's taking the piss, Jew's nuts. I expect better of you.
Jeez, you even caught me because I don't even know the guy's name, and you made me put this up twice. Sean, for those that don't know, including himself, can you pronounce that again, please?
Ange is his first name.
And
he's Greek. Postecoglou.
Postecoglou.
Yeah. It's simple when you get it.
Postecoglou.
And he's going to be a treble winner tomorrow at 7:30.
Absolutely.
I feel sorry for him, to be honest. Not because of what he's going to do at Celtic, because if he does get the Spurs job, because if he doesn't take it, people will say, "Oh well," do you know what I mean? If he's been offered, and this is the problem. I don't know. We don't know if he's been offered because we had this Nagelsmann scenario. Do you think it's all a bit of, smoke and mirrors? What's going on, lads? Because I think it's smoke and mirrors, personally. I don't think he's going to be Spurs manager.
I told you the media are leading this. The media are just putting in names. We don't know who is actually picking these managers because we ain't got a director of football. So, and Levy definitely isn't looking at these managers. So where are these names coming from? They're just getting plucked from thin air. Anyone that's even Postecoglou said the other day, he goes, I didn't even know I was linked. He doesn't even know. So they're just being, and like you were saying before, we're just living on a prayer, mate. Bon Jovi sang about it. And Spurs fans are just living on a prayer. We haven't got a clue. Will you wait until, and like what you said, Sam, if he wins the treble, he's not worried because he wants to build a legacy at Celtic, right? So whether he gets the Spurs job or not, I don't think there's going to be anyone saying anything bad about him because he's going to be winning the treble this season, right? With Joe Hart in goal, don't forget who we got rid of. Who Nuno said, "See you later, mate. You're too old." So he wants to build a legacy at Celtic. So he'll continue building that legacy. It's going to be Spurs that are going to keep having a laughing stock and custard on their faces. And then there'll be another name that gets plucked up. I'm waiting for Big Sam to get plucked up, or Rob Edwards, the one who's just got Luton promoted. They'll be the next on the agenda. And it's just going to keep going and keep going. And Daniel Levy is just going to say, "Oh, well, we tried. And then guess what's going to happen? You know exactly what's going to happen, Sam, Sean. Brendan Rodgers, your numbers up coming in. Brendan will come in because he's there, ready, waiting.
Told you what's happening. The fact that he's very silent, the fact that he's not said anything. No, I wouldn't expect Brendan Rodgers to come and say, "Oh, I'm not really interested," or "I'm interested." I wouldn't expect him to come out on camera to say that. But there's been opportunities if they want to. There's opportunities for the Spurs media circus to kind of dispel rumours if they wanted to, but they don't want to. They want all this gust of winds going around and this storm brewing up and all the rest of it because it makes the job easier for them because they can hide under things. Oh, well, we never talked about Nagelsmann. If Nagelsmann said no, it wasn't us. If somebody else says no, because when the slot thing come up, it was like, "Oh yeah, I'm interested. Then all of a sudden he gets, given a pay rise, whatever it is at his club. And then Spurs and him come to an agreement that they're going to put out in the media, "Oh, we were never interested and I was never interested and it was all about staying up final." This is ridiculous. We don't know who we want as a manager unless, as I think the case may be, they already have the manager in place, but they're just wanting to see how much this grief that we can get. And then we're almost like, "Oh, Brendan Rodgers, oh, he's actually all right because we were going to get X, we're going to get Y, we're going to get Z, and they probably were. At least Brendan Rodgers is managing the Premier." This is what was going to be. And I can tell you that's exactly what's going to happen. If not Brendan Rodgers, Graham Potter. I can't see anybody else. I can't look past them two. I don't want Graham Potter. I don't really want Brendan. Who do you actually think is going to do it? Because I don't think Postecoglou is. I don't think he is. It's not the one. Why would he?
Why would he? Because he comes from a football backwater in Australia. It's very, very difficult to get into Western Europe, let alone into the Premier League. And the Premier League is where managers want to test their mettle. He doesn't, unlike other coaches like Conte, Mourinho, he doesn't bring an entourage with him. He just brings himself. He'll work with existing coaches. He may supplement it with one or two people, if necessary. He just comes himself. And, there are lots of things which, certainly I have contacts up here in Scottish media, and the talk is in the sports rooms that it's a done deal, so it's just they're just waiting for the cup final to be done. Of course, it could all change. It could all change, and it could be part of the smoke screen. But I like the way he's got Celtic playing. He took them over when they were in a bit of a mess, to be honest, and he turned them around. He's made, believe it or not, Cameron Carter-Vickers the Scottish Defender of the Year for the last 2 seasons. Something that none of our super coaches could do. I'm not saying that it makes him, a Premier League player, but he's made a player out of him. Given that he looked a lost cause when he was with Tottenham. So, I mean, people talking about the River Plate guy Gallardo doesn't speak English. I mean, if anything, I don't want a coach who can't speak the language of the club that he's come to. That's why Levy insisted that Pochettino conduct all these conferences in English, not like he was doing at Southampton through an interpreter. I just don't want to. I just want the search over. We need a reset. And we'll love Postecoglou in press conferences. He's brilliant up here. Absolutely brilliant. He doesn't suffer any fools. He's short and to the point when needs to be. It's not about him. It's about the players. And he wants to play on the front foot. For God's sake, the last 4 years have had me tearing my eyes out watching us play. I want to enjoy watching Tottenham Hotspur. Please get us someone who will play that type of football.
I'm going to say, if he does come, there's a major clear out. You can't play that type of football with the players that we've got currently. In my opinion, we don't have a defensive solidity to be able to play attacking football. Because if he doesn't look at his defensive notebook, we've got a massive problem, because the defensive notebook is what we need to look at first. That is my issue initially from him. Not because I don't think attacking football is the way to go, but we can't defend. We can score goals at the present time. We've seen that. We can score goals if we keep Harry Kane, but we cannot defend. Bringing an attacking manager in to just attack. That's Newcastle back in Kevin Keegan's era, and we wouldn't have the sort of success that they had at that time. Yes, it might be nice to watch. Yes, it might be nice and exciting, the 5-3s, 4-2s, blah, 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 but we won't progress. We can't progress as a team until you build off that defense. We haven't got no solid foundations. Sid, David's got a bit of a point here. I'm not saying that Graham Potter or Brendan Rodgers are bad coaches in that sense, but the Spurs job's different. Graham Potter stepped up to Chelsea. It went pear-shaped for him very, very quickly. We've seen Brendan Rodgers, even at Liverpool, it caved in very quickly when they didn't win the league. Leicester, we've seen what's happened to Brendan Rodgers. Pressure gets to them. And if you're going to come to Spurs, it ramps up 20% more at least. I just don't think they can deal with that. So who's going to... Are we thinking that the fans are being a bit stuck up here in terms of what David's saying about the people that we're being associated with? And should we be grateful that somebody actually, if the rumors are true, actually wants to manage this club? Because I don't think many people want to take that risk. They will get paid, but I don't think they want to take a risk on their career based on what we've seen.
You know what? Roberto De Zerbi, which everybody wanted, doesn't speak English, but look at the job he's done at Brighton. Yeah, manager's done an absolute wonderful job. First time in there, wherever they've gone into Europe and that. Everybody keeps saying Spurs need a reset. We need reset. We need to refine the club. We need to, find ourselves, find whatever. And then they say, no, we don't want Potter. We don't want this guy. Potter's not a bad manager. He done bits and wonders at Brighton. It's just that anyone can go to Chelsea, and everyone's failed at Chelsea, most of them anyway, because that's the way Chelsea are. If you want to reset, I think Potter would be a good option, because you're starting from scratch. Give him a project. Give him 3 to 4 years. We know what he's capable of, what he's done at Brighton. I don't think that's a bad option at all. And I agree with David. We're all acting like we're Mayfair when we're nowhere near Mayfair. You know what I mean? Because players are not going to come to Spurs at this precise moment because of the way the situation is. The only thing we've got a platinum plus platinum, whatever player in Harry Kane. Right? And for how many seasons in the Levy has he not acknowledged that we've got a top class player, but he's not built anything to try and get that player to where above and better with better players around him. So we're not Mayfair. We, like you said, we need to, wake up, smell the salt, and realize where we are. And people like Graham Potter I'm not saying it's going to be a bad appointment. I think it would be a good appointment. Yeah. That manager that cannot be named for whatever reasons, David, I agree with you. I don't want him anywhere near that club at all. Yeah. And if he does come, my sons have already said that we're not going to the games next season. So he's a no for me. And I think if the best out of the worst bunch, if you can call it, I think Potter would be the one, because he is the kind of manager that we need to come in with a reset and start, and build around it. Because we're not going to get these top managers that everyone keeps, Nagelsmann's and all them. They're not probably interested in the job. They might be if he wasn't in charge of the club. So we've got to be realistic. We've got to, we're going to have to start somewhere. And as Sean keeps saying, we need a reset. And we're going to have to get with what we get. Even if it's Postecoglou, I don't mind. If it's Potter, I don't mind. But that name, that cannot be named. I do not want him anywhere near the club.
Sean. Is it a gamble? Oh, sorry, it is a gamble because obviously any manager you get is a gamble. Is this a gamble worth taking for Spurs if the rumours are true and we are in conversations and he's interested in all the rest of it? Is the gamble worth taking for Spurs to get someone like Postecoglou? Is that right?
Mm-hmm.
Cool, good. Is it worth the gamble?
Well, I like the fact that he actually wants to come to the club and doesn't feel like he will be doing the club a favour, unlike certain certain incumbents of the manager's chair. As I keep going back, it's very difficult to know, when you're in the other side of the world, which is not a footballing hotbed. I mean, football in Australia is an immigrant's game. It's not played by locals, so it's quite difficult. He's had quite a few School of Hard Knocks, but he's got himself into Europe. Most Celtic fans, when he turned up, are like our fan base at the moment, going, "Oh God, who the F is that?" And yet, he's won the league both seasons he's been in charge. He's won them comfortably. He's played really good football. Earlier in the season, I mean, not many of you would have watched it, but he went toe to toe with Real Madrid in the Champions League. He had a terrible draw. I mean, you couldn't have picked a worse group to be in. And he went toe to toe with Real Madrid, and for 70 minutes they more than held their own. But then in the end, Real Madrid's quality told, and they won the game comfortably enough. I just, one stat I'll give you, right? When Graham Potter was approached by Chelsea at Brighton, who were the two choices that Brighton went after? De Zerbi and Postecoglou. Who was the first one they wanted? Postecoglou. They soon got told, "No, I'm staying at Celtic to finish what I've started here."
No disrespect, but that was Brighton. I know Brighton are obviously better than us than this season, but that's Brighton. Now, we've been attracting Jose Mourinho, Antonio Conte, blah, 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 blah. Now, again, I expect Brighton to be looking at those sort of managers. And if they get it right, like they've done, brilliant. But they had a plan as well. They looked at how, the way that Potter had kind of got the club to a point, and then they brought in someone who could basically carry that on. And that's what he said. Postecoglou would have probably been the very same way, because you said he's a coach. He'll go in there and he'll do what's best for the club. At Spurs, we're getting players bought for managers that they don't even want. We've got players at the club who've been there so long, they cannot be bothered. They cannot be bothered to turn up for a home game against Newcastle when everything's on the line, but yet they can concede 5 goals in 20-odd minutes or whatever it was. Ridiculous amount of goals that they conceded. Now, it's the players that I'm fearing that are going to cause the problem for whoever comes in next. And Postecoglou, yes, he might have the right attitude. Yes, he might have the credentials. He might have the desire to want to do things. But he's going to be hampered at almost every turn unless he's given the 3 to 5 years that any manager that comes into our club now needs. We are not a 2-year, let's get it right project.
Okay. So you're not buying my stat then? You're not buying the fact that they approached Postecoglou before De Zerbi, Brighton. And Brighton, have been, as David has said, have been playing better football than us for a couple of years now.
But that's Brighton. We still...
Yeah, but that's Brighton. Brighton, Europa League.
How many times have Brighton finished above us, Sean, in the last few years? How many times have Brighton finished above us in the last few years? Once. Since they've been around.
Yeah, but look at them. Look at them, Sam. Look at them.
So
they're light years ahead of us. It took dodgy VAR to beat them.
Right. I'm talking that's this season because they've got it right, because they built on it. But what I'm saying is they were likely
to get it right.
Yeah, but that's the managers they're going to attract. They're not going to attract.
All right, another thing then. The other thing is,
go on.
Postecoglou will have a point of support at the boardroom level. He knows Scott Munns. So he will have support at that level, and therefore I think it's worth not dismissing him out of hand, and that's that to me.
Yeah,
they've worked together before. They know each other.
I want the club before they even do it is to do a plan. They can't just bring in this manager and not have a director of football and not get rid of players and not. We can't. This whole saga.
But we're just talking about the manager now.
Yeah, but the manager. This manager shouldn't be, in my opinion, should not be aligned with this job. It should not be the case. We're only getting this manager because we've done so shockingly bad. We can't seem to get anybody else. We're talking about Enrique's. We're talking about who else? Nagelsmann. Those are the managers that we should be attracting, but we can't get those because they don't want to come to this club. They don't want to be part of the circus. Somebody who wants to come to this club is going to have to prove himself. Postecoglou wants to prove himself. I'm not disagreeing with you on that sense. I'm just saying it'll be a fucking tough job for him to come in at this club and succeed if he's not given the tools and the time. He's not going to succeed. He can't.
Why should we be looking at people like Nagelsmann and?
That's what I'm saying.
Why should we?
Exactly. Why should we? What have we done to try and get them kind of managers?
F all. We've done F all.
We're not even in their standard. They shouldn't even be taking a second glance at us.
We're living off Poch's era. We're living off Poch's era in the top fours that he did in the Champions League and that's what we're living off. So we're going now into a situation where, okay, we've thrown money at it. We've got Jose Mourinho in, sacked before a final. Ridiculous thing to do. Brought in another manager, didn't want to come to us in August. They paid him more money. He came to us in November and he's basically said, I'm doing you a lot of favour here. I'm doing you a lot of favour. But he couldn't even get them players to play for him. Point here that someone said about Postecoglou, who's he going to be able to attract apart from players that he knows? Now, if those are the players that we want in our club, unless he can coach those ones that are there, we've got no hope because some of the best coaches in the world have been at our club and cannot get a tune out of these players. That's my point.
Who says that it's the manager that attracts the players? So who did we get under Mourinho? Who did we get under Conte?
Exactly.
This is what I'm saying. So this is why it's all wrong. We should be having a manager who has a massive say in who comes into the club, in my opinion. Pep Guardiola does not say, yeah, just go and do what you want to do. He has a massive say. Jurgen Klopp doesn't say, yeah, just bring me anybody you want. He has a massive say. Do you think Eddie Howe next season's not going to have a say in who he comes into his club because of the success he's garnered? It doesn't make sense just getting somebody in and then throwing players at him and expect him to work when we've seen it doesn't. All I'm saying is there's no plan, regardless of who comes in. It doesn't matter if it's him. It doesn't matter if it's Rodgers. It doesn't matter if it's Potter. Any of those managers will not succeed in the club given the time span and given what we've got there until we sort out a vision, philosophy, strategy, plans, all the rest of it, and possibly Daniel Levy steps down. I'm being harsh here, but that's the reality of it. I've seen too much now. Come on, guys. Sorry, I've kept it because I've not watched anything of Spurs, and now I'm seeing the same 2021 saga with the manager again.
But that's well, it's not going to be any different because the same people are involved in it, the recruitment process, and it's going to be like that. But we cannot expect a Nagelsmann to come to our club. We cannot expect.
Agreed.
A Enrique to come to our club. So what do we do then? Do we go with managers who've worked in the Premier League, so we get Rodgers or Potter? Or do we go to someone who, has used his network? He's he's helped recruit really good players to Celtic, from markets that we which are cheaper. I'm sick and look at the amount of money we have wasted on so-called talent. 60 million on Ndombele, 57 on Lo Celso, ridiculous. 20 odd million on Sessegnon. Our recruitment, who spotted Matuma first? It was Postecoglou. He tried to get him to come to Celtic, but he said, no, I've got an offer from Brighton. This is a guy who knows players. And you're just because he's in Scotland, it's this parochial English attitude towards Scotland. And yet, historically, English teams had a smattering of Scottish players before it opened up to the market. And now let's have Sam Allardyce, let's have foreign coaches. I want an English-speaking coach. I want someone who's going to get me out of my seat, and I see that in Postecoglou. I possibly see it in Potter. I may even see it in Rodgers. But good God, we're not drinking at the top table anymore, boys. Wake up, smell the coffee.
So I'm going to answer this one, and you can answer as well, Sean, because do we consider ourselves a traditional top 6 team? I know we're not in the top 6 this season, we're 8th. But are we considered, even going into next season, would you consider us to be one of the top 6? Or are we out of that now completely?
Look, we're a decent side, right?
No fence sitting, no splinter Sid.
No, well, listen, hear me out. We had a bad season last season. We had a bad season, right? Chelsea has had a bad season. Chelsea, a couple of years ago, had a bad season. And the next season, they got it right. They won the league. We've had a lot of shit this season, right? With Conte's situation, with Nuno situation. We get the manager that wants to come to the club, actually wants to come to the club and make this club better. Yeah, then we've got a chance. I still say we're a top 6 club. Of course we are. Okay. Aston Villa have overachieved this season because they've got a decent manager who's coming. They won't what's the word I'm looking for? They won't sustain that. Newcastle, okay, yeah, because they've been bought by whoever they've been bought by. And eventually Eddie Howe won't be there for that long. So they'll be up and running. Liverpool will be back. Man United will be back. Man City will be back. I still say we are a top 6 club. We've had a bad season, but we've got to get it right. And we've said this time and time again. If we don't get it right this season, then I'm with the manager and players and everything, then I can see us slowly not becoming a top 6 side. But as it stands, yes, I think we are.
Okay. So I agree with that. And I agree with you because like when Liverpool didn't make Champions League for years on years, they were still considered top 6. Arsenal finishing outside the top 4 for years on years at our expense, always considered top 6, even when they finished 8th. Chelsea, as you said, have finished as low as 10th or whatever it is, where they finished this season. They're still considered a top 6 side. Okay. We've all agreed that. Which of those clubs would appoint Postecoglou as their next manager if a manager became available or if a position became available at that club? Which of them teams?
None.
100% agree. Not one of them would take a risk on him. Not to say he couldn't do the job eventually, but they wouldn't get him. They wouldn't get him. Arsenal had their plan in place. They were going to stick with Arteta regardless. Didn't matter if he failed, they were going to stick with him. We don't do that. So none of the top 6 teams would get Postecoglou because they wouldn't want that, because they want instant success garnered now. We aren't successful, but we're still considered a top 6 team. So we're going to have to try and get a top 6 manager, in my opinion, that's been there, done that. We've tried it, not worked. So we're going to have to do some sort of project. But it's going to be very, very difficult given the circumstances and the situation that he's going to be given into now. We don't have a director of football, as we've talked about. We've got players who are on contract. Harry Kane, the best player, one of the best players in the world, the best player is a striker in the Premier League who's second to Alan Shearer, is going to be off next year, could be off this season. Is that going to help his case? No, it's not. Son's form's massively dropped off. I don't think he's going to get any better. There's a whole lot of deadwood that's going to come back thinking, that what am I doing here? He's got to sort all that out. Is that fair on him without a director of football in place? I'm telling you, football don't work like this. It don't work like you can just bring him in and they think we can play nice football. Yes, we can. But then there's other things in the background that's going to stop him from progressing at this club. And there's too many things that he'd have to sort out. And if he doesn't sort them out, who's going to sort them out? The footballing people are there now that currently can't sort anything out currently. So what do you want to do? You want to get just a coaching? Fine. But you've got to back him. You've got to give him what he needs. You need to give him young players that are available if that's what he wants. Or you bring in players that he wants, regardless of what names there are. Are the fans going to accept the players that went to Celtic? I don't think they will. I don't think they will. So it's just going to be problems on problems. That's my opinion. I don't know. I don't see how it can work. For me, as King, they won't get it right. Whatever the manager, some players just need to go. For me, and not the answer, but we will see. We will see. F. Rodgers is what Jules is saying. When Kane leaves, we're mid-table now, pretty much. Anything can happen next season. Who thought Arsenal would challenge it? It can all change, especially if Kane stays.
you know what? You can't not say he's not going to do anything because we don't know. Yeah, he's going to win the treble with Celtic, right? Everyone's going to say, yeah, but it's only the Scottish League, blah blah blah. But no, like Sean said, if you actually go and speak to Celtic fans and even Rangers fans and say how well they've been playing and whatever with what he's probably got a good pedigree. They've got a good players. They've been playing good football. You don't know what he will bring to Spurs. He might come to Spurs and he might fire off straight away, and they might do well. They might, he might get them playing the way he wants them to play. And it's like Sean said, and I think majority of Spurs fans just want to see good football that is not boring and that's not shit. Yeah, they want to see football being played from the first to the 90th minute. He might be that guy that can do it. The only problem is, first and foremost, the deadwood has to leave that club. Amount of players that need to go. And then they've got to invest. And them two are the most fundamental things has to be correct. Not that I don't think it will be, because Daniel Levy ain't going to give him money to buy players. Probably players that we're going to get are players that, not the level that we want them to be. But because they're cheap on the market, we will get them. Unless, like Sean said, Postecoglou's got scouts or people elsewhere in foreign countries like Mitomas and I think the striker that they've got. Is he the Japanese one, Sean? If I'm right,
yeah, Kyogo. Yeah, he's a really good player. I don't think he's right for the Premier League. I wouldn't want to bring him. But he's doing a good job in Scotland.
Yeah, if he's got that kind of network and stuff like that can bring in players and give him a chance, then yeah. But what we've got to fundamentally realize is we're not, like David says, we're not Park Lane. So we've got to start looking at mid-level, even maybe lower. We're not going to get them top players anymore because they're going to look at us and say, that chairman's a joke. He's not interested. And it's all going to come down to that. And I'm not ruling out Postecoglou. I think, you know what, might not be my number one choice, but beggars can't be choosers in the end.
I have a lot of affection for Celtic, and it breaks my heart that we could weaken Celtic in order to taking their coach away. I wouldn't be against him arriving. We just need to. There's so many tasks to do. Sam's right. There's a lot of tasks to be done, not least getting rid of deadwood footballers, and it doesn't help my mood when I see on Twitter today, Tanguy Ndombele has said to Napoli, I'm going back to Spurs to reclaim my place in the team. And I'm going,
this is what I'm saying, Sean.
You couldn't even get your arse in gear to beat Rotherham in the FA Cup.
Sean,
don't come that with me, Tanguy.
But Sean, you know what the funniest thing I saw on Twitter? Somebody said, imagine a midfield of Ndombele and Basuma next season. I'm like, where's Bentancur gone? They've not even put him in the picture.
I've seen the three of them, yeah. I've seen Bentancur, Ndombele and Basuma. But I don't know. I mean...
I'm as frustrated as you are. I really am, because I'm seeing the same thing, Sean. The same... And I don't think... I like the way the guy is. When I've seen him I like him. But I think he's almost being thrown into something that, unless he's supported properly... And I don't mean just by giving him but supported in terms of what's around him, football people around him to make those. He's going to be coming in and thinking, well, there's no director of football here. Yeah, we've got Ryan Mason. I've got a few coaches. That's great. I don't need to. Okay, but who's staying? Is he? Oh, people like Ndombele saying he's coming back to get his place back. He's not coming back to Spurs to play again. He can't play for Spurs again. We can't allow that. We can't allow us to go back to them days again. We can't allow players like Lo Celso to come back into our club. We can't allow that, because they proved that once the going gets tough, they don't want to play for Spurs. So they're not going to play for a manager who they possibly don't respect. If they possibly don't respect. Now, I'm not saying that he's not going to garner respect if he coaches well, but if you just said to Harry Kane, we're getting this guy from... do you think Harry Kane's going to think, well, yeah, hold on a minute, that's looking like we're going in the right direction. I'm going to sign another 3-year contract and stay with you till I'm 30.
Well, what I would like Harry Kane to get in a room with Postecoglou and have a chat.
Yeah.
And do you know what? I think Postecoglou will persuade him not to stay on forever, but to have a go. I do think he will persuade Harry. This projecting, oh God, Kane's going to throw the towel in. That's not Harry Kane.
No, he's not going to do that.
He's not going to throw the towel in. And if he seemed to, he's playing in football, I tell you what, he'll get more chances with Postecoglou as a striker than he would with bloody Conte. He'll get more chances because he'll play 4-3-3 and he'll be up the front there expected to put the ball away. I don't know. I don't care. I won't be upset if the Postecoglou is not chosen because it means he'll still be at Celtic. But I tell you what, we're missing a trick if we let him let him go, and it'll be Potter or Rodgers.
The man we can't name. Okay, this is what I'm gonna say to you, Sean. If he was appointed, I'm supporting every manager that gets appointed at Spurs. That's what fans should do. Because it's not his fault.
Absolutely. That's our role as fans. Yeah.
That's what we should be doing. Support the manager. But sadly, we've probably, in the tenure of Daniel Levy, probably had the most manager changes in the Premier League. I don't think we're anywhere close to anybody else. So I think we've had the most manager changes if you discount
that's Daniel Levy. Oh, we've had 600,000 from Leicester City for Harry Kane. Let's sell him.
Exactly. So the blueprint's there. So again, I'm just looking at where we are now. We were in a lot better shape a year ago. We were in a lot better shape 2 years ago. Then we had the rockiness, I guess, the 2019 just off the potch. But we've had a bit of stability because we have been in and around Europe. We have been qualifying for Europe, even though it's Europa Conference League and the Europa League and all the way. But we were still maintaining that. We've now completely fell out. Other teams like Arsenal, like Liverpool, like Chelsea of the big six can do that and get back in relatively quickly. But they don't have as much mess as us. Yeah, Chelsea are a bit of a basket case, but they will throw money at it. Eventually, it will stick. Eventually, when they get the right person in, get the right players out, it will stick. And Chelsea will be back because they have the pedigree and history of success.
Well, eventually they'll sack Pochettino. He becomes the next Chelsea coach, and we can get him back because we love an ex-Chelsea coach.
I feel like crying. That's why I didn't watch the football. That's why I didn't watch Match of the Day. That's why I didn't do it because it's only going to make me sad for next season. We've got some new people here. Junior Rodigan. Are you David's son? I'm joking. Modern Medicine, Bentancur will be the same player. Hopefully. I can see Bentancur turn out.
Yeah, ACLs can be recovered from. There's lots of players now who recover from ACLs.
Yeah, they can, definitely. I can see Bentancur turning out like certain other midfield player from Nigeria who was brilliant, but after Akushia, his career was over. Press the like button, people. That's coming from us. If Big Ange doesn't get the job, Ryan will be manager, and we'll have to do another talking points about that scenario if that was to happen. Because as I said, I don't actually think it matters at this moment in time who goes into that club. I really don't. I really don't think it matters until they get other things sorted out. But we'll see. No guarantees, Junior. It's a very difficult injury to recover from. He'll definitely be more susceptible to future injuries. He'll have to possibly change his game because it won't come back 100%. He'll come back very strong and he'll play again. But I don't know many that have really gone and excelled and become better. If you think I'm supporting Rodgers, if he's announced as Spurs coach, you're kidding yourself. My hatred of this man is deep. I'm being honest. I will no longer support Spurs with him as our coach. That's deep.
Wow. Dear, oh dear, David.
That's deep, David. That's deep. In Pasto.
Posta.
Posta, we trust. It's not pasta, people. Jews nuts threw me a curveball there and made me start saying pasta igloo. It's not. Postecoglou. There we go. Right. Final thoughts then. Start with you, Sean. Final thoughts. I know you like him, and I know you want him. Well, sorry, you didn't say that. You didn't actually say that.
I think he would be a good fit. I'm not saying that I want him necessarily, but he's of the small pond that we're fishing in, because we are a diminished brand. There's no doubt about it. We're a diminished brand, and I don't expect us to, I don't expect Arsenal to have the season that they had last year.
Please not.
Because the commitments that they'll have, and their squad is just not deep enough, as we found out. It depends on recruitment. It depends on stability at the top of the thing. And that's a good point, Eddie. Yeah, he might not want to come to us.
He might not.
I think if he's offered it, he will take it, but it will it will be different. We won't know really. We won't really know until early next week.
I like that look. We'll find out soon enough. Hopefully, and not the side we had 2 years ago. Sid, final thoughts. Are you a pasta man, or are you kind of like more? I don't know. What's the opposite of pasta then? Rice. I guess rice.
I'm a curry man.
What, we're going to get the basketball player? Curry.
Yeah. Listen.
It's better than bloody Lucas Moura, I'll tell you that.
Whatever happens, man. At the end of the day, whoever's going to get the job is going to get the job. I'm not bothered, to be fair, because we're getting linked to all these managers and what's true, what's not true. We don't know. We will never know. Whatever's meant to be is meant to be. And if it is Postecoglou, then it is Postecoglou. If it is Enrique, then it's Enrique, because I can be your hero, baby. But if it's him, it's him. If it's Nagelsmann, which I don't think it's going to be, then it is. But like I said, I don't want a certain manager. And we're all tied. We've all renewed our season tickets, the ones that I have. And if it is not who I want, then my season tickets, games per game, will be going on the ticket exchange, because I won't be attending. But whoever comes in, I don't care who it is, he'll get my 100% support, apart from 100%. Obviously whatever. We've got to back him. But let's just hope the man in charge makes the right decision, because this time round, if he doesn't, then boy, there's no mercy. I tell you that now, because I tell you what, bad boys, what they're gonna do when they come for you, and that is what's gonna happen.
And that heaps more and more pressure on whoever does come in, because they'll have all that. Well, he didn't do it. Now you're the person who's going to do it for us. When that's not fair on him. Like I said, I'm supporting any manager that gets put in the job, even if it was Nuno again. I'd have to support him, because they've obviously gone through certain things, and he's one of
Nuno the winner.
Nuno the Saudi
double winner.
Forget that.
The cup and the thing, yeah.
Do you know what I mean? Even Nuno goes away and wins effing trophies. Ridiculous.
And the most important thing we've got to remember is a certain Harry Kane will be singing to Daniel Levy, I owe you nothing at all.
It's madness. Okay, so I'm going to apologise for my bit of emotional, because I haven't watched Spurs for this last week. I've tried to keep myself calm. I've been working. I've been keeping myself busy in the gym, but it's done me. It's got to me now, because I'm seeing the same things. And Sean, you sent that thing today. That was really good, that article. And I was like excited, but then I'm thinking to myself, it's not fair. It's not fair, because he's got nothing else in place. He's been thrown. Anyway, we're talking about a manager that we don't even know if he's going to come to the club. If I was him, I'd stay at Celtic. I really would. I'd stay at Celtic and just, clean up there again. And then if another club comes in for you that's more stable, that you can do your thing, possibly. But instability in football causes no end of problems, because it's the behind the scenes stuff that we don't see, that you think, why is this player playing like that? Why is that manager like that? It's because of all that stuff. And I think it's a lot for him to carry if he was to be appointed. Poster, my friend. Rice. That's about it. So what's this, sir?
Levy couldn't organise a piss up in a brewery, and he's got a micro one on the premises as well.
Yeah,
I know.
Yeah, definitely. All right, gentlemen. We're all with friends, and people just think in case they might have come in at a point and thinking, what's going on here? We always do this. We always get a little bit. Well, I sometimes get emotional. Who's number one on the emotional count here? It's definitely Sean. It's probably me second, and it's Sid third. That's fair, isn't it, Sean? You can't disagree.
No, I am passionate. You know, I want
good.
to.
We have to say that.
I do think Postecoglou will fire a few players out. You know, he doesn't. As I say, if you go on the internet, you can actually see videos of him calling his players out. And I'll tell you what, if you were impressed by Company and his little rant in the dressing room, you should see what Ange does. You should see what Ange does. That's all I'm saying.
Even Ange, there's going to be so many, like, you know what I mean?
Angie, baby.
I can see the headlines already if he don't do well.
The Rolling Stones song, yeah?
Oh, dear, there's going to be such... And other fans are going to have a bit of a laugh about his name as well when they start thinking if he's coming to Spurs.
Dirty Dan, then, if you can have Angie.
Dirty Dan. Oh, no. Sid, you've even started it already. You know what I mean? There's going to be plenty of that sort of stuff. Anyway, people, make sure you like the stream. Make sure you subscribe to the channel. There's going to be changes coming over the summertime. Us as a group here, we'll be getting together and discussing what we need to do. PRTv, as you know, we've been plugging that for a little while. We'll get onto that. But nothing changes for you guys. It'll be still exactly the same people, faces, maybe a few different ones, but we're just aiming to give you content. So anything you want to see in the future, put it in the comment section below and we'll look at it. Don't say we'll do it, because sometimes we don't. But anyway, thank you very much, Sid. Thank you very much, Sean. It's been a pleasure. I think the bottom line is I'll support any manager that comes in, but we have to get some bloody stuff in place to help this guy out, whoever it is. Even if it was Luis Enrique or Nagelsmann, they can't just come in and expect to work miracles at this club, because miracles don't seem to happen. They don't seem to happen for us. Anyway, that's it. Come on, you Spurs, and time to get some food. Where is the music to go out? It's this time I've got it right. Thanks, peeps. See you later.